Not gonna lie, I tried to discourage my children from drinking their bathwater by calling it butt soup. And I'm gonna keep doing that because it kind of seems to be working. Let's get this podcast started. Welcome back to Not Gonna Lie, a Wave original brought to you by Dunkin. I'm your host, Kylie Kelsey, Jersey Shore frequenter, Lower Merion grad, and fueled by pork roll, egg, and cheese sandwiches. Specifically Bart's. You guys really hit it. As always, make sure you follow us on social at NGL with Kylie and subscribe to the Not Gonna Lie YouTube channel. Coming up on today's episode, things are looking bleak for my beloved doom-scrolling destination, TikTok. So I felt it'd only be right to give TikTok a proper send-off in case she does actually leave us. After that, I'll be joined by the other half of the Calm Down podcast and someone I have no business speaking to, sports broadcasting icon, Erin Andrews. But before all of that, I'm going to get honest about being an Eagles fan in the playoffs. You might have heard a few stories about my intense fandom on the other podcast, but I figured the playoffs is the perfect time to share with you all of the things that happen while watching an Eagles game in my house. And before I say anything, note, I have a piece of wood to knock on throughout this segment because that's how superstitious I am. Because I can't help but feel responsible if I say something that may be considered a jinx. In which case, when you hear knocking, it's because I have to. Fuck, that's not real wood. I'll be right back. I thought the desk behind me was going to be enough. It's not. I'll be right back. A wooden spoon. We're good. We're good. Whew, I feel better already. The worst part is that I know that it's irrational, that touching a wooden spoon is not going to fix something. And yet I still have to touch the wooden spoon. It's the craziest phenomenon. Okay. I got to, because I can't knock on the same thing too many times. It's like the magic runs out. Okay. I got my wooden spoons. Where were we? I'll start with where I'm watching the Eagles this year now that Jason is retired. I used to go to the link for every home game. We usually would not bring the girls. We would usually keep them home except for one game a year. They're not really that into it, so it didn't make sense to drag them down there, have them in a place that was loud, overstimulating. We made that decision a while ago. But since I'm not in my usual seat at the link this year, I'm watching from the living room. I am a yell at the TV type. Just the other day, I got in a lot of trouble with Ellie because I was yelling while the game was on. And the best part is that when I got in trouble, I was yelling positively, which usually I get yelled at for yelling negatively. But Ellie did not like that I got so excited on a Nolan Smith's sack. So I had to bring it down a couple notches. The girls do usually hang out in the same room, but don't necessarily watch with me when I watch football. The day that Wyatt had her AJ Brown pink shoes video.
Oh, I see the pink shoes again.
I see AJ Brown shoes.
Me too. I see him. I see him again.
Here they are.
See him again, Mom.
That was just because her sisters were napping and she was trying her best to also stay out of a nap. So that was a manipulation tactic. And as cute as it was, and as much as I love those bonding moments, especially about football, homegirl, she was working it. I respect it. Ellie, surprisingly enough, can cheer at appropriate times, which every so often when we're all watching football together, we'll have like a group laugh about the fact that she nailed a cheering opportunity, because I know that she doesn't quite understand what's happening, but enough that she cheers at oddly appropriate times, which is fun. Playoff Kylie is different from regular season Kylie because the superstitions take over the whole day. So from start of the day to when that game is over, I will not check Twitter. I will avoid most social media. I will not post on a game day. That was when Jason was playing, and still now that's game day. I don't know why we're posting other things. I don't know why we're acting like life is still like happening. Life is not happening. Eagles are happening. So that seems silly to be posting other things. I have to focus. I don't know why you think that I could be focused on other things or like entertaining conversation. We have a job to do, and that job is to lock in and send as much power and energy. I hear myself. I can hear it. Okay. I hear myself, and I'm not going to change my ways. So if you do it with conviction. And lastly, this wouldn't be a proper Eagles segment if we didn't take a look at what the Cowboys got up to last weekend. Oh, right. Nothing. Because I can't talk shit on them and expect that the universe will still smile upon us the way that he has. And that does it for Can I Be Honest? Go Birds. Now, before we bring on our guest, there's something that's been weighing on me heavily over the past few days. It looks like my favorite app, TikTok, might actually be going away for good. Hopefully it doesn't, and I can doom scroll until the end of time, but just in case it does, I want to properly pour one out for TikTok. Disclaimer, if it doesn't get banned, just take this segment as me giving TikTok her flowers while she's still with us. Okay, I guess I'll start with my own TikTok origin story. I was a little late to the TikTok game. I joined sometime during the pandemic because I was sick of being sent TikToks by friends and not being able to watch them easily through the app. Since then, almost 3 kids later, I've spent countless post-bedtime hours doom scrolling. That sounds very unproductive. And now I have to ask myself, what am I going to fill that time with? Am I going to read books? Am I going to watch reels on Instagram? I'm not going back to Facebook. I refuse. That is a bottomless pit. Do we bring back Vine? I did love the 6 seconds. It really caters to the ADHD in me. Do I let my own thoughts run wild? Definitely not. I guess I'll have a newborn soon as a distraction. But then, what do I do while the newborn's eating? But during this time of grave uncertainty, I'll try to remember the good times, like when I first heard @Ashley Knock say, "Hey fuckers.
Hey fuckers, hey fuckers, hey fuckers."
It was a beautiful moment. When I first saw Jeremy Sheck followed me, his food, it truly got my mom and I through the pandemic. Did we make most of it? No. Did I marvel at it? Yes. Also, in preparing for this segment, I found out that Bert Kreischer follows me. And now I don't even have time to enjoy that moment. I also found out Condiment Claire follows me. Big deal. I'll never forget the first TikTok I posted. It was a video of Wyatt and Jason and the dogs. It was so picturesque. I should probably make sure I saved that. Or when I discovered videos of beards being plucked. When I posted that video of Jason sleeping in the delivery room and it got 14 million views for some reason. It's almost as if that was a shared experience. Or when I first launched Places Kylie Has No Business Being, which, shout out to Carly Panaccia with the Eagles, who, when I told her I was going to Milan for Fashion Week and I said, It's a place I have no business being. And she said, you should really start a TikTok series about that. You were right, Carly. It was a good time. There were also tough times, like when tabloids fucked around and found out, posting fake stories and clickbait. Or when Celebrity Homes account also fucked around and found out, when they posted in detail a bird's eye view, including some address information of our homes. And I had to fact check them in the comments. I'd do it again. So goodbye, TikTok. Goodbye, algorithm. Goodbye, mom talk, and all your most impractical sensory bins. Goodbye, viral sounds.
What? In the club, we all fam. In the club, we are all family.
Goodbye, going down rabbit holes about Disney mystery pin sets and gluten-free recipes, even though I'm not gluten-free. Goodbye, woman with a pet crow I couldn't stop watching. Goodbye, people using the green screen effects to point out and talk about my podcast clips. Goodbye, clips from podcasts I've never actually listened to in full. I'm sorry, Brittany Broski, but I will say, when those spotlights pop on the Broski Report, it excites my soul. Goodbye, TikTok. Hopefully we'll meet again on the other side of a sale. Last week, I hit you guys with a throwback Disney Channel intro. This week, it's Dunkin' Ad Live with butter pecan, glazed donuts, and this sweatshirt I'm wearing featuring Dunkin's new shaken espresso, the Dunkin' app, and faint sounds of my children watching Peppa Pig in the other room. With non-musical guest, Queen Emma.
Wait, how did I get roped into this?
And your host, me, Kylie Kelsey. Well, that was fun while it lasted. But while I have you, make sure you guys try Dunkin's new brown sugar shaken espresso, a frothy, chilled, handcrafted beverage available now at your favorite Dunkin' location. Order in the app ahead of time like I do, or in person at your local Dunkin'. You see her on the field every Sunday as the lead sideline reporter for Fox NFL. She's also the co-host of one of my favorite podcasts, Calm Down. She's the founder of the clothing brand Wear, a fierce advocate for women's health, a mother. Erin Andrews, welcome to Not Gonna Lie.
I'm not going to lie. I'm so excited to be on. Congrats on kicking this off.
I do want to start off with you're in LA right now, and it's been a very scary week. Mm-hmm. How are you and your family doing?
We're good. We're kind of in an area that's thankfully hasn't been affected, but I saw a great post on Instagram the other day. I live in LA. Yes, I'm okay. Yes, I live in LA. And yes, I'm really sad. It's been awful. It has been, and it's funny because it's not funny, but I went to Philly, obviously, last week to cover the wild card. And once you get away, the coverage is amazing, but we are living it. I mean, everything has been preempted by the news. You just, right now we're supposed to be getting really bad winds for the next couple of days. So everyone's on alert. Everyone's on guard. It's touched, unless you're living in the Palisades or some of these areas, you guys are really, really in it. We're all just trying to figure out a way to help out. And can I tell you a little something that we're cooking up? Obviously myself and our play-by-play on our game that we do on NFL on Fox, Kevin Burkhardt, we literally live like 3 blocks down from each other down the way. And we're wanting to step up and figure out, like everybody out here in California, what can we do? What can we do to help out? And we talked to the Red Cross and we decided to get involved with them. So the Red Cross is actually kind of doing like a little raffle. And we can provide the link to you. I think we're going to do that. And you can donate whatever you want. It's not something where you have to donate a ton of money, but we are kind of offering an experience with Kevin and I and our NFL on Fox crew next year. When you donate, that will submit, I think it's like you get a raffle, right? If you donate once, you get 1 ticket. If you donate twice, you get 2 tickets. Enough you can donate as many times. Erin, you speak for a living. And we are providing this experience to one person that the Red Cross draws. And it's a weekend with us, 2 nights away. And you guys get to come to a game of your choice, dinner with us, which I got to tell you, gets pretty damn fun, especially when you're in Philly. And just kind of a behind the scenes look for anyone who wants to check out our crew and see the shenanigans behind that. That's a thank you, obviously, for your donation and you being a part of that. We're really excited. We just are trying to find, just like everybody else, a way to help out. It's just nuts here.
I will make sure that when we share that link that there is a Not Gonna Lie donation coming through on that as well.
I love you.
So we really
sweet.
Appreciate that effort. And
Thank you,
course, all of LA is in our thoughts right now.
Yeah.
Let's get into what some of the NGLers heard a few weeks ago when I had Carissa on. Yes, when I had Carissa on, we had the pleasure of meeting last summer for the first time.
Yes.
And Carissa said that you were mortified by her dance moves.
I wasn't mortified. By the way, I've seen those. Those are not new to me. Those moves, drop down and get your eagle on. You know what I mean? No, I was not mortified by those dance moves. This was where I stood in the whole situation. Listen, I wanted to get to that tour so badly. I have a dance background, not a great one, but yes, I like to dance. I appreciate the performing arts. I appreciate a show. I was so fucking pumped to see the dancers, the lights, the costumes. That's what I grew up loving. Broadway shows, all of it. I love my girlfriend a lot. She's amazing. She's a good time. I've been to Rihanna with her. I've been to Justin with her. I've been to all the peeps. I just wanted to watch. I wanted to take it in. And I love her, but she's like in my face and in my face. I
do remember at one point you saying like, I'm focused. And I was like, this is incredible. I felt like you were studying and taking notes in a way of like, I need to make sure that I can properly just digest this entire situation.
Yeah.
And there was not a moment where I felt like you were like, not like locked in, like I see you pumping it. I need you to pump it over there because I am busy here.
Yeah.
I'm right here. Yeah.
And I can't even imagine what it's like being your brother-in-law because I feel like when everyone goes in there, they want to talk to him. And he's like, hey, I'm watching my girl. I'm doing, and it was like, Kylie, I'm even psycho to the part where when the new, obviously, songs were added, I remember looking at you and asking specific questions. And I remember little old me, I remember you saying, she's about to go off here. And I was like, oh my God, I am ready. Like, I know I've been waiting for this. But yeah, so with Carissa, she just, she was shaking it off and she was 22 and I was like, no, I got to see the hat. Are we doing it? Who's got it? Like that was more me. We were two different vibes. We were memes at that thing. Kylie, we were washing our hands in the bathroom and I screamed, oh no, we're missing Betty.
You did.
I'm a loser.
That is, I think you both properly enjoyed that the way you were intended to enjoy it. But it was an amazing time. This show obviously is called Not Gonna Lie. And I'm not gonna lie. It is so cool to talk to you and to get you on in this capacity where I get to sort of just quiz you and ask you a bunch of questions.
Oh shit.
Because I originally went into college as, I started out as a health and PE major. And then when I switched to communication, I was like, I want to do sideline reporting, post-game interviews.
Really?
Yes. You were a huge role model in me being interested in that career. And it ended up working out great. The communication degree it's degreeing when I'm podcasting. So
yeah.
Yes. So it's not a full waste of money. So it's fine.
What was the number one thing you remember from your communications program at your school? What was the one thing you walked away with remembering that they taught you?
Oh gosh. Honestly, in each of my classes, I could tell you like one thing, like in radio, I took radio for probably the most like consistently.
Yeah.
And I still remember us having multiple conversations with the newcomers to the radio station of, you have to smile and sound like you're having fun because you can actually hear it. So again, translated to podcasting pretty well. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And just for the people who aren't watching, you have to make sure that you take care of that. And there have been times where early on in Jason podcasting, he would be like, "How was this week's episode?" And I would be like, "You were too close to the mic."
Oh yeah.
Or like you can't say inside jokes with your brother unless you're willing to explain them, because otherwise it's as if someone's watching like an inside conversation and they're on the outside.
So good.
So just little things like that have just sort of sat with me and have helped in certain capacities.
I remember early in that podcast, and I said this to Jason, actually, we were on a conference call with him. I think it was a couple years ago. I don't think it was last year. I think it was maybe it was last year. And it was your daughter, and she came on and he was like, "Hey, Wyatt wants to say hi." And he goes, "Tell him what you're wearing." And she goes, "A leotard." I cannot say the word leotard now without being like, a leotard.
I always say, if she doesn't win an Oscar, I want my money back. Whenever she gets to go downstairs and talk to Uncle Trav, it is like, "Uncle Trav, guess what?"
That's how I feel like talking to Uncle Trav. I feel like I all of a sudden need to tell him so many things. We had Chiefs 49ers this year in San Francisco, and we talked to, we talked to Patrick. We didn't get a chance to talk to Travis, and I don't want to bug those guys if we don't need to bother them. And I didn't even get to see him pregame. I don't know what the hell was happening, but I didn't get to go see him. And so he's like, game's almost over. It's fourth quarter, and I'm standing there on his sideline, and he kind of is standing out there, and he's, game's pretty much over. And he looks over, he's like, "EA." And I was like, "What's up?" And he goes, "Hey, hope you're doing good." And I was like, I started talking to the fucking guy. It's a game. Erin, get it together. I was like, "Oh my God, that one thing about your shirt and the podcast." Like, Erin, it's 2nd and 4. Shut up.
That's exactly what the problem is, because Jason will be like, "Okay, go upstairs with mom." And I can still see her like nodding with the headphones on. And I'm like, Travis is over there like, "No way. Tell me more." And I'm like, "Trav, stop talking to her and she'll come back upstairs."
Hilarious.
Like, you're engaging. You're engaging with her.
So good.
I mean, I get it. He's exciting. He's a fun guy. The king of Funkles, really.
Wow.
Now, you said before you were a dancer growing up.
I mean, tried.
And well, you say that, but you were also a dancer in college.
Oh yeah. She got down for those timeouts. Oh yeah.
So what was your experience like on the Florida dance team?
Well, aggressive, because I also worked for the student station, and I loved the Florida Gators, and our basketball team was just starting to get good then. We had Billy Donovan. I may or may not have been dating a guy on the team, I was like, okay. I was, I think, the only dancer that knew the lineup of the other team that we were playing. So I was like telling the girls. I also thought I would be really helpful if I saw the Gator bench be like, "Thumbs up," or if they were in a zone, I would start doing what the coaches did. So much so, the Gators went to the Final Four. They went to the championship game my senior year. It's so perfect. University of Florida versus Michigan State. I got in a screaming match with Mo Pete from Michigan State, because I was like screaming at him, and he's like, "Look at the scoreboard." I mean, I have talked to Tom Izzo, because I then covered Big Ten basketball for years, about like what a loser dancer I was, sitting underneath the basket at the Final Four championship game talking smack. Like, girl, relax.
I just love that as a college dance team member that you were talking shit.
Oh, yeah.
And to the extent that I wonder if any of those athletes know who was talking shit.
Jason Williams.
Nowadays.
Yeah, from Duke, because Florida beat Duke. I think it wasn't in the Final Four. They beat North Carolina. I think it was in the Sweet 16. He goes, I remember you sitting under there and talking shit. Oh, yeah.
Let's take a circle back to your sports broadcasting career.
Okay.
You have one of the most difficult jobs in trying to get a great soundbite from coaches and players in a very short amount of time.
Yeah.
How do you think you've been able to get the most out of players in those quick snippet moments of just trying to make sure that you have something coming out of the break?
Being relatable, I think another thing is I want those guys to trust me. Listen, there's been times you have to interview guys and we interviewed week 15. The buildup to that game with the Eagles was that there was a little bit of friction between AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts. I'm not in the locker room. I'm not going to report anything I don't know about. I'm only going to report what those guys are telling me. Jalen goes out. He balls out. AJ Brown has a game. Saquon, is doing his thing. Great. I know that post game, I have to ask Jalen about all the freaking noise all week long. And look what you did this time around. And so I really struggle because I know what people want to hear at home. And I also know what I don't want Jalen to think I'm stirring the pot again, but I also appreciate these guys. They know I have a job to do. So yeah, I think a lot of it is trust. They know I'm not out there to make them look bad. And, being well-researched, well-read, talking to them during pregame, I don't know. I just think all the work and preparation that I do, I feel like they realize that, and I'm not in it just for myself or, for a clickbait, which we all love so much, don't we?
I love watching you.
Oh, I love you.
Because it is so obvious that these guys have this insane level of respect for you and what you do. And so to watch them interact with you and it be such like a warm and very like back and forth. Like it's not just like you're standing there to ask them a question and you have to like they're just there to save face or because they have to be. They genuinely are happy to talk to you. And that is so refreshing to watch because it really does come across.
That means a lot
obviously.
coming from you. It really does. I get emotional about that stuff because for the longest time, you just want to do a good job. And then once I realized I just wanted guys like your husband and the ones that I deal with all the time and the coaches that I respect and the general managers I respect and even the owners, I wanted them to know I care so much. It's funny, we play a role, right? But the amount that I study and prepare for and am neurotic about, like if I screw up one thing, it ruins my whole week. I mean, I'm coming home with chest pains, which is so stupid, but it just is because I care. And it's not even about the way I look. It's because I respect the hell out of what your husband did, what that O-line has done, the time that they gave me during the week. And I just never wanted them to think that I was just there to be like, hey, I'm on TV and this is my outfit.
It is so transparent and not to like keep nailing it home. But I think that you've seen there are people who you can tell are there to like get a story, are there to see the teardrop. Like, yeah. And I think that they feel that mutual respect that like you work really hard at what you do so that you can help them look good in what they do. And that it's not that you're ever trying to like catch them in a bad moment or it like really it's a joy to watch, genuinely.
I love you. Thank you. That means a lot.
Now, outside of your reporting career, you are also the founder of the sports apparel line Wear by Erin Andrews, which so I love. I have always taken up issue with the fact that I find specifically in like a pro shop or just anything branded towards women is often pink. And like, if I wanted to wear pink, I would root for a pink team.
Sure.
And so I love the fact that you have fully leaned into the team colors, making sure that it's something that like I could wear not going to an Eagles game and people would be like, oh, that's so cute.
Anywhere, everywhere. That's kind of our slogan, baby.
I love it. Do you feel like you sort of wedged into where there was a serious deficit for fan apparel for women?
Yeah, listen, I grew up a huge sports fan. I mean, I went to the University of Florida, like I wore orange and blue till I, could puke. And then I was at college, I worked college game day and it was freaking awesome to see everybody and like all their colors. And I just was so curious what other people were wearing. And then having a husband that played, I just would go to the pro shops and I was like, what? Okay, they have all this space here that they're selling the men, and the women get like 2 things, and it's a weird V-neck that's itchy and bizarre. And like, no, I don't want sequins across my boobs. I'm fine.
Not the V-neck, Erin.
I'm good. Like, this is weird. And
it's
the weird
also the
cap
V-neck.
sleeve.
It's the V-neck, cap sleeve, sequined, and then also the larger the size you get, the wider it gets.
Yeah. That's
What's up
hot,
with that?
right?
Why aren't we getting any longer?
Right.
For the tall girlies, I need the large to be longer.
Exactly. So
yes,
I would just be annoyed going into these shops. And so I had done a Super Bowl like chalk talk in San Francisco years ago. And GQ had asked to do a sit down and talk to me about this style. And I was like, my manager's going to kill me right now, but I got to be honest, none of the, I wouldn't wear any of this. This just isn't me. I'm very much a tomboy. Like, I appreciate the people that want to wear this, but like, I don't see me in any of this. And that night we went to a restaurant, we were overserved and having great food. And I just started like, writing out on this paper tablecloth, like a name. And I said, why can't we just have something where it's like staples in your closet? And I'll be honest, I'm not a fashionista by any means. This thing is like 3 times too big, whatever, I don't care. But I just was like, the bomber, the zip up, like shirts. And then, so finally somebody listened to us. It was probably like 4 or 5 years of banging people's doors down and saying, hey, we've got this idea. Well, unless you don't love it, we're not going to love it. I'm like, I promise you, if we can do this, it's going to be a fucking hit. Just listen, please listen. And so finally Michael Rubin with Fanatics did and gave us our shot, shoved us into the deep end of the NFL. Women like you were amazing to give me a shot and put it on. And we freaked out one day when we saw Kylie wearing it at a game. We were like, holy shit. So that was really cool. And yeah, just thankfully, it's doing well and we're excited. We've got a Super Bowl collection that's going to be available on Fanatics. It's going to be available in New Orleans when we call the game. We have a special announcement coming up about a collab we're doing with somebody. We're kind of hoping to do a collab with you, by the way, which would be pretty fun. What would be, if we did a collab with you, what would be the one piece of article that would be the Kylie Kelsey wear collab? What would you like? What do you live in? What do you want to do?
I do love an oversized crew neck right now.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's pregnancy body. And now for the sequel to last week's fictional Dunkin short film. Once again, the part of Kylie will be read by me. Stage direction, the voice of Queen Emma. Action.
Interior, Dunkin, Cabrini University, day after Tinder date. Local legend Kylie McDevitt walks in while in the middle of a phone call with her friend and worst player on the field hockey team, Beverly.
Second date, Beverly. His friend literally had to fireman carry him out of the bar.
Kylie approaches the register and marvels at the donut display while Beverly yammers on.
Beard. Funny, charming. Yup. Bev, one sec. I'm at Dunkin' and these donuts require my full attention.
Kylie addresses the cashier.
Hi, sorry about that. Can I please get a glazed donut and a butter pecan iced coffee?
Kylie immediately takes a bite of her donut and a sip of her drink and suddenly has a Jimmy Neutron-style brain blast.
Bev, I just had the best idea. I'll go out with him again if he agrees to a date in this Dunkin'. Heck, I'll even marry him if he does that.
To be continued.
You did IVF for a number of years.
Yeah.
If you had to tell someone just sort of like a short summary about your IVF journey, what would that entail?
It sucked. And for so long, it was crazy because I would be so quiet about it. And my friends knew and all that, but I was so embarrassed. And I think so many women are because you just, all my friends, and especially in a hockey wives room, I don't know what it's like in football. A lot of the girls are young when they have their babies. In hockey, the boys get married really early. And I was in my 30s and we were not married and we were not, pregnant. And all my girlfriends, I helped raise their kids in the hockey wives room. So by the time I came rolling around 45 with a surrogate, wait, where'd y'all go? This is crazy. So there was a lot of embarrassment. You felt like maybe people in my life didn't understand. It wasn't the case. My girlfriends were amazing. But I always say to people, even if your friends have never gone through IVF, surrogacy, adoption, just talk to them because you can't keep all this stuff in. And sometimes it's hard for your partner to relate. My husband's from a small town in Canada. Not a lot of people, like before we were really vocal about surrogacy and IVF and it not working, were very vocal about it. And the first time I was like, I'm going to say something on air because this is crazy. He was like, please don't. And he was kind of like, oh my gosh, the day I went public with how much it sucked and we weren't having success, so many people reached out to us and was like, oh my God, we've gone through this too. So it was kind of like therapy.
It is strange that when you start to discuss the different aspects of trying to build a family, loss, IVF, infertility to any degree, that people start like coming out of the woodwork to be like, that happened to us. Like I had multiple people after our loss who were like, we had 3 losses before we had our first kid. We experienced this, we experienced that. And it's one of those things that makes you so sad because obviously not necessarily a club you want to be a part of, but then you realize how many people have experienced that and how many people are sitting in silence with it. And it just sort of like almost stings a little to realize that we're all carrying this degree of trauma, really, or like not having a positive experience and then just not talking about it as if it's something that we should be like ashamed of, that doesn't need to be talked about, that's too personal to talk about. But like, if we're all experiencing it, is it really that personal?
Right.
I am so grateful that you have these conversations because I think that you're opening up the opportunity for other women to realize that it's not just them, that someone who is in the public eye, who's as successful as you are, who's clearly like a fit, healthy individual, that it can happen to anyone, that you can experience infertility. You were still working that whole time through IVF. Do you feel like that was a good distraction?
It was honestly the distraction I needed. I mean, I even had my whole cervical cancer journey during football. That was a big reason why we weren't able to get pregnant. That was a huge reason why we had to do surrogacy. But for me, being busy and doing what I love, being on that football field is such a distraction and it's something I need to function. You take me off, I'm a hot mess express. I got to be busy. Working, staying busy, trying to be the best version of me was what helped me the most.
But then on top of it, you have taken it upon yourself to encourage other women to make sure that they are getting themselves checked regularly. So
yes.
You have now taken an experience in your life and are, again, speaking about it and not sweeping it under the rug or pretending like it's something that you should be embarrassed about. And you're using it to encourage other women to make sure that they are pursuing the proper medical care and maintenance that we all need to prioritize.
It was crazy. I found out when I went public with it, and I went public with it at Super Bowl. Somebody did a sit down interview with me and they were like, hey, how was your year? And I was like, holy shit, listen to this.
Let me tell you.
It all started at week 3. So I just told her, and then I woke up that Monday morning and it was everywhere about the percentages of women that get diagnosed with it, how you shouldn't die of it because it is something that's curable if you find it early. It was wild. I was getting text messages from powerful men in the NFL saying, thank you for doing this. My mother, my wife, my aunt, my cousin, they don't go to the doctor and they needed to hear this. So yeah, it was for the greater good to just kind of get it out there. When you work with all men and you're, the only female out of 30 guys that travel every week to a game, it's not something you want to talk about with your cervix, Hey, pass the pasta. My cervix just got taken out. How about that Philly offense, So
well, again, thank you for having those conversations.
Sure.
The other thing that you have like you have already said today, that you've been outspoken about is how you guys ended up with your son via surrogacy. At what point did you decide that that was the route for you guys?
We decided COVID, Easter. We're always, because we didn't have kids, we always have a big Easter with my girlfriend who was the wife of our goalie. And she was so great and she had a big family. So she always had us over for Easter and she had all the boys over for Thanksgiving. So we were so used to doing everything with everybody's kids on the team. And we just were all isolated and none of us were together. And we're like, this sucks. And I'm not going to get pregnant. And I know surrogacy sounds off and weird, but let's just fucking do it. And so we just decided to do it. And it was a crazy, emotional, wild ride. We ended up, losing. There was a big loss, which I don't think we were prepared for. I think we thought when we went into it, we were like, yeah, it's going to be successful right away. What are you talking about? We'll put 2 in, we'll get 2 or we'll get 1. We got nothing. And I didn't have a lot to start out with. So that was really, really hard. I didn't deal with that very well. I pretty much kind of lost it for a bit. My husband dealt with grief really well. I didn't process it the way I was supposed to. Taught me a big lesson about that. And then that led us to our angel, and that was our surrogate. And she was so incredible. She had done it before. She really guided us through it. The woman whose company that placed us with our surrogate was so wonderful, so much so that I've actually recommended her to other people where they've had babies through her. And if you are with the right group and the right people and you ask the right questions, and I've even have somebody via broadcasting that had a baby before we did in surrogacy, and we were asking him all about the delivery. You just got to ask questions. You got to be open. You got to be honest with yourself and your partner, and then it'll work out the way you need it to. You can't go about it just being like, I'm going to deal with this like this and not talk to people. You got to talk. You got to ask questions.
And so you obviously have been a mom now for, is Mac a year and a half?
A year and a half, yeah.
How's it going?
It's wild, but it's getting crazier and crazier. Like, man, he's coming into his own, like when do you notice that they start coming into your own? This is my first time. Like, when do they start developing their little like cuckoo personalities?
I would say I would say between like 15, 18 months, I feel like they start to sort of become their own person where like they're laughing at specific, like you can tell what they find funny. Yeah. You can tell their sense of humor. Yeah. Like, I have explained all 3 of our girls so far have different senses of humor. Wyatt wants to be funny. Ellie is funny and doesn't understand why you're laughing. And Bennett is funny and knows it. So like and it really pans out right around that like 15, 18 month, you start to see them sort of amp up.
That's a good way to say
but
it.
It is, I think like you guys are in the sweet spot of which I'm sure not everything is rainbows and butterflies. I want to be abundantly clear on that.
Yeah. The molars, man, that is crazy. Oh, that poor thing.
It's not right.
He turned into a different person. I'm like, are you okay? What happened?
Yes. They get a little like possessed.
Wow.
Like you're like, mine wasn't. How do we reset to factory settings? What is happening?
That's a good.
Yeah. Boop, boop. Oh, exactly. Yeah. Because there are just certain milestones, and the molars are definitely one of them where you're like, I know you're not okay, but we gotta recenter ourselves here. Well, Erin, I cannot thank you enough for joining us today. I am, like I said, such a huge fan. I am grateful for the conversations you're having, for the work that you're doing, and for the space that you're holding for women in sports is so incredible. And you're a true professional. And I know that shows through the screen every week. So thank you so, so much.
Well, I love you. And the feeling is mutual. I was so excited when you were in London, when we were there, when we just jumped in that tent. And then I saw you were there and I was like, hey, and acted like I knew you, but I felt like I did. It was so funny because you were everything that we wanted you to be. And I remember when we were leaving and my husband had quite a few cocktails in him, thanks to your husband.
That's
and
usually how it goes
in there. And he was like, wow, she's great, huh? Wow, she's just great. I was like, what did you think she was going to be? Of course she's great. She's fantastic. He's like, she's just great. So yeah, you were as advertised and wonderful, and love you guys a lot, and just cheer everything that you guys do and are a part of. And it's so fun to watch just all of this. I'm so happy about this podcast. You are doing your thing, and it looks great on you, girl.
Thank you so much again to my guest, Erin Andrews, for joining me. Not gonna lie, I talked to Erin for a longer conversation, and as always, you'll be able to find even more exclusive clips on More Shit Monday on my YouTube channel. And that's a wrap on this week's episode of Not Gonna Lie. I'll be back next Thursday with a brand new episode. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Follow the show on all social media at NGL with Kylie. Not Gonna Lie is a Wave original brought to you by Dunkin. Thanks, guys, again for tuning in. How do I fuck up on the last line when I fucking heard the whole thing?